Hello everyone, Shavua Tov, and we are on Parashat Tsav. There's a lot of learning about Tsav because Tsav means an order, a commandment, a command. To differentiate between mitzvah is a precept, which is more like a lot of people by mistake see it as Tsav, but Tsav and mitzvah are two different words. Why? Because Tsav means the commandment, and people mix it up with the mitzvah. Mitzvah comes from the word to team, and Tsav from the word to command. Now, this parasha is about the command. And what is the command? And here we have this special study. Let's see. So we are in Vayikra, the book of Leviticus, chapter 6, verse 1. And God speaks to Moses, Tsav et Aaron vebanav, order Aaron and his sons, לאמור, saying, Zot Torat ha'olah hi ha'olah al mokda. This is the teachings and the rules of the burnt offering. Hi ha'olah al mokda al hamizbeach kol halayla. This is the one who ascend on the fire on the altar the whole night long. Now, a lot of sages were asking the question, what has the word tzav, command, to do over here? As for the ones who are not really acquainted with the idea, when we know that in English it says that on Mount Sinai Moses brought to the people the 10 commandments, there is not one place that says that these are commandments. The word is dibrot, and commandments are tzavim. Tzav in single, tzavim plural. Okay? Dibrot means sayings. So, why is it so important to understand that? Because we'll see here. The Zohar has a more distinct explanation about the word tzav. Okay, and it says in the Zohar, verse 15, in the Sulam, Rabbi Ashlag's commentary, Valda ityayivat haisitra acha beida dechana. Okay, so let's start from the beginning so we understand it. Verse 11 in the Zohar, before we go to Tzav. Rabbi Elazar sha'al et Rabbi Shimon aviv. Rabbi Elazar asked Rabbi Shimon, his father, Rabbi Shimon, the author of the Zohar, ואמר, and he said, הרי קשר הכל נקשר בקודש הקודשים לעיר. Okay? When we are talking, we spoke about in Parashat Vayikra last week, that the whole thing about what is called the offering, which is called by mistake a sacrifice, or is understood when you sacrifice, you are victim. Victim sacrifice, right? Winners, they invest. They make an effort. They get closer to their goal. And the word is korban, which has the two meanings, which means, who are you? That depends who you decide you are. And what does it mean? We said in Parashat Vayikra that you can either look at when you do something for your family, for your society, community, for the world, you can feel that you sacrifice and then you feel like a victim because you feel depleted. Why? Because you were an idol worshiper. What does it mean, an idol worshiper? The moment you do the good for other people to appreciate you and to acknowledge the good you've done, you are in default idol worshiper, by default. Why? Because you have expectations, and that means you hand over the control over the sense of success that you experience about your life, you hand it over to other people. If they appreciate you, now they're in charge of your sense of validity. If they appreciate you and then they forget, then it's gone. Then they take the carpet under your feet, and where are all these people that appreciated me? How long can they appreciate you? They have a life to go. You can't. How long can you say somebody thank you? Okay, it puts you by default in a place of what is called idol worship here, which means you're not in charge over your life. You're always, these people that are always fishing for compliments, always trying to get the acknowledge for what they've done. That's sacrifice, and that's being a victim. You're always under the control of other people's whims. This is, logically, this is something that is very dangerous because it brings you towards, despair. You don't trust people anymore. You say, why should I, why did I have to work so hard if nobody acknowledged me? And this brings to disastrous feelings of a victim. And as we said, the moment you do not have control over your life, you are away from your calling. Now, how do you solve it? And we said the answer is when you understand that every time you give of yourself, your time, your money, your energy, whatever you give, even a kidney, when you give to others, you do it for one purpose, which is to get closer to the Creator. And when you get closer to the Creator, as a human being, when you make that ascension, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, then you do not sacrifice, you get closer, you ascend. Same word in Hebrew. It's like the same letters, Kuf Resh Bet. Now, a lot of people see also that if you look at the letters Kuf Resh Bet, it's also the letters of the word Krav, battle. Why? We all have to battle our selfishness, our body consciousness, the lower aspects of our consciousness, saying that, people are supposed to appreciate what I've done. And that's a battle. You win the battle. You're not dependent on other people's appreciation in order to feel great. Why? Because when you get closer to the upper worlds, the upper world get closer to this world. And as above, so below, the result will be that enlightenment will come to yourself and to the world, and the sense of fulfillment will be genuine, authentic, and lasting, which means long-lasting. And that means you got closer. That is the Korban. So now, the Rabbi Elazar continues, and he says, when a person is making that Korban, which means everything that you give of yourself, you raise yourself to a higher place and you are more connected to enlightenment, then you don't just call it Korban from the word to get close, you call it Kesher. Kesher means a connection. When you get, what happens in order, let's say you have electric machine. It's not just that you, in order to operate it, you have to get the plug into the socket, and that's called lekarev, to get closer. But when you get it plugged in, it's now connected. Now the word is not korban, now the word is kesher. Tikshoret is communication. Now you're plugged in. The moment you do the korban, the result will be the plugged in. People are plugged in. They have an intuition that is coming from another dimension, but from the good side. Not every intuition is helping you. Sometimes you have an intuition and that doesn't go very well. Okay? When you plugged in, the intuition will be from the higher place, from the more positive place. Of course, you can get plugged yourself in negativity. When you're upset, you're plugged into the dark system, the dark net. And the dark net, whatever messages you get from the dark net are not going to be in your favor, in your interest. So whatever messages are coming. So how do I know? Very simple. Check yourself. Who are you plugged in when you got the message? How do you know? So later on in Parashat Kedoshim, in this book, we said already, Rabbi Akiva is using the the verse, love others as you love yourself, to show someone, how do I know I'm on the right direction? And the answer is very simple. When I'm plugged in to the pure system, to the light system, to the positive network, then people approach me for a favor or anything, and I feel love towards them. I know I'm plugged into the right network. But if whatever somebody else is doing is upsetting and annoying, that means that I'm not in the scope of loving others as loving myself. And the result is that I'm supposed to understand the message is you're plugged into the wrong network. So plug out and plug in. Now, so he's saying this is called kesher. It's all about kesher. It's all about plugging in. It's all about connection. Kesher hakol, and this is the connection of everything. What I mean of everything? The highest level is when a person is so close and so plugged in to the sfirot that it's done from a place that all the levels connect to each other, like a telescopic antenna. It's like everything connects to everything that connects. You think you're making a connection down below one step, but that step pushes the other step, that pushes the other step, all the way up to very high levels, all the way up to the Holy of Holies, says Rabbi Elazar. What does that mean? הדבקות של רצון הכהנים והלוויים בישראל עד אן היא עולה. So he's asking, when Kohanim, Levim, Israel, everyone, not just one, everyone, when we do something of bringing ourselves towards sharing and caring and making the world a better place, and we do it for the purpose of improving the world without waiting for anyone's approval, how far would that go? How high is that connection? That's Rabbi Elazar's question. And the answer is, Amar lo. So Rabbi Shimon, his father, is answering. Amar lo harei madnu. We already explained. שהדבקות שלהם עולה עד אין סוף. When, remember as I said before, when you bring it up from below, and you go with devotion, with excitement, with happiness, with the word korban, which means you're really into getting closer to the upper worlds, getting closer to the light, getting closer without any condition. What does it mean, any condition? It's not conditioned by anyone's appreciation. Okay? It's not conditioned by any grades we are going to get or any prizes we're going to get. It's done purely from the devotion and the desire to connect to something good. How far would that go? That goes from the lowest level, it goes a little bit up, but that pushes another level upwards, and that pushes and as the Zohar explained last week's parasha Vayikra, it connects all the levels together, get them closer to each other. So when an antenna, you see the antenna, it's like a telescopic antenna. It can go very, very far, but the moment you close the antenna, how do you close the antenna? You give this like push from below. So that level 1 from the bottom goes and attaches and overlaps level 2 that goes up and overlaps level 3, that overlaps level 4, all the way up to level 10. And now suddenly everything is in the same level. That's called korban. Everything got close so much it became one. So even the lowest levels can reach up to the endless light. And this light means eternity. So, כי כל קשר וייחוד ושלמות, every connection, every unification, every completion on a spiritual journey, הוא לגנוז בצניעות האיש שאינה מושגת ולא נודע. Think what happens. When level 1 goes up and it unfolds, it like folds a level 2 and levels. So the highest levels, the light of the endless, is enclosed within, covered by one level after another and after another, like onions, like the peels of the onion. However, within all of these peels, you have in layers, you have that spiritual light that is called, it's a modest, the word not modest, hidden, hidden, that cannot be perceived and cannot be known. אשר רצון כל הרצונות בו, that the original desire of the Creator, the will to share, is hidden within. When a person hits that place, as I say it many times, when you see a person that is, he did something, he goes through something, he's in love, she's in love, but real love, I'm not talking about falling in love, going exalted in love. A love that is out of self-giving, connecting, unconditionally being there for the other, or is happy because the person just put himself into it. When you see the person coming to that simple, hidden, quiet satisfaction, and you ask the person, can you explain to me how do you feel? And what would they say if they say, there are no words? That's exactly the description of the Zohar. There are no words. So simple. Ein Sof, the endless. Before that. Asher Retzon kol harezonot bo. What is that place of no words? This is a place that you don't need any excuses, any explanations. That's a place that you're connected to the light force of God, and you don't need any proofs. When you need the proofs, show me, prove to me. You can't prove it to anyone. You have to get there yourself. You have to plug in. And you plug in only when you make that ascension out of life of devotion. It's not happening by itself. It could be. A person can find himself in that occasion in which there's an emergency, and you find yourself giving everything and beyond everything. Without thinking about the reward, you just do because you had to do it. When you go through it, you feel that you're going through, I don't know if it's hell or all the problems possible, and you just go through it without that touching you. When you're out of it and it's done, and you're tired and you're exhausted and you think like you're broken into pieces because of exhaustion, and then out of that exhaustion, out of this tiredness, out of that noise that you've been through, you suddenly feel that kind of quiet you never felt before. This is the quietness of the endless light that you just connected to, which is called devotion. It's called dveikut. It means attachment. It means connection. How do you know? It's quiet. It's concealed. Why concealed? The brain has no way to explain it. That's why you say, there are no words. You think any word will be just as useless as the other. This is the place every human being wants to connect to. This is the place of complete, utterly complete, simple fulfillment, satiation. People are depressed, negative, and in despair because of life, because they don't know how to get to that place. But this is our calling. This is the book of Vayikra, the calling. And it's called also Retzon Kol HaRetzonot. Now, the word Ratzon in Hebrew has a double meaning again, like a korban. Ratzon means a desire, But Ratzon, when we say that the Creator, רוצה, יהי רצון מלפניך, let it be a will in front of you, God, which is a very common prayer before anything you do, it's not, God does not have a desire. It's like, it's like a stamp and the mark on the paper. God's desire to share, appeasement, will to share, sharing, is the one that engraves the desire in us, and that's what we want. So it's the same thing from different two sides. From God's place, from the Creator's place, it's called appeasement. It calls fulfillment, ratzon. In Hebrew, hitratzut means appeasement, quietness. From the human being point of view is, this is what I desire. When I don't have it, I want it. I lack it. I feel it that I want, that's what I'm missing. However, when you get it, it's appeasement. When you get what you really want. That's why it's called Retzon Kol HaRetzonot. This is the fulfillment of all fulfillments. Ein Sof, the endless, which is another way to say this is the light of the Creator, but it is endless, which means it's nothing to do with our logic. Why? Because our logic is finite. How do we define something? By its boundaries, where it begins, where it ends. If we cannot define it, or in Hebrew, lehagdir, fence it, we cannot put the fences around it, we cannot understand it. Something that has no beginning and no end. Can our brain define it, understand it? No whatsoever. Eino omed Ein Sof, the endless, Eino omed livada, is not ever going to be known. Why? Because knowing means defining, understanding. Now, when you feel happy and love, you don't understand. Can you make me understand what you feel? Sorry, I can't explain it to you. But that's what everybody wants. Velo לעשות סוף, and not making an end, ולא לעשות ראש, not making a beginning. ולא כמו עין, it's not like the nun, Ein, which is the Keter, which is the beginning of the emanations, which is called Ein Arishon, שהוציא ראש וסוף, because that was already an emanation that somehow emerged from the endless into the world of our definition. מיהו ראש? זוהי נקודה עליונה שהיא ראש הכל הסתום, עומדת תוך המחשבה, שהיא חוכמה נקראת ראשית, והחוכמה נאצלה מן הכתר שנקרא עין. בסוד הכתוב, והחוכמה מאין תימצא. חוכמה, every ספירה is emanating from the ספירה before it. The חוכמה, which is very high, is emanating from the keter, which is the ein. Ein, how do you explain it? Ein means nowhere. Ein means none, but it is. It is, but it's not. So you understand that whatever we're looking for has nothing to do with how smart we are. You can find smart people that come to a moment, they're so happy, and they don't think that being smart has nothing to do with that. And you can see people that are not smart whatsoever, but when they come to being happy, they don't care about if they're smart or not. Right? And you know about people that are very smart, and they're bitter and miserable because they can't find the ein. They can't find that what cannot be defined. They cannot find that quiet, simple happiness because they never gave of themselves. It was always by accounting and definition. And, mothers know that. Because when you're a mother, you just give. Because if you don't do that, no one else will do that. That's why women are more spiritual than men. Because being in a place, you can find also doctors in ER, even men, When you're there in ER and there's emergency, you don't think about, but I have my resting time and I need to do this and I need to do this, and what about my vitamins? There's no place for that. If you come to that place with devotion, without feeling a victim and a sacrifice, but they don't give me and they don't pay me enough. You just do it because that's your calling and you love it. And you're not telling yourself that you're supposed to complain about it. You have the chance to reach that place that it is not known, that cannot be explained. Halo noda, beyond the Ein, the Ein Sof. That is for today in our world. We don't have the sacrifices in the offering in the temple, but there's so many times a person can offer help unconditionally. And what the Zohar is teaching us, that you're not really doing it for others. The first beneficiary for that is yourself. Because that's the only way unconditional loving and giving and sharing. The result is coming to these moments of a plugged in and a connection that when you come to that place, all my life I lived just for that moment. Just for that state of existence in which I'm plugged in and I simply don't care if I ate, I didn't eat, if I'm paid enough, I didn't. And a lot of people get to that place. The problem is, you don't need a lot of degrees for that. It's not a must. Some people with high degrees reach that place and some people do not. The problem is that school system of modern civilization, university, college, whatever, they don't train you to get to that place. If you're lucky, you have a role model from your parents, your grandparents, maybe somebody in your community, maybe somebody you met somewhere at work. If you're lucky, you look at them and you say, I don't know what they're doing, but I want the same. I want the same. Now, so over there in the endless, there is no end. And what I mean there's no end? That's the real freedom. People want freedom. So either they try to achieve freedom by being powerful, rich, and whatever, and then they just realize that the more power you have, the more you are a slave to that power. Because you have to maintain it. You don't maintain it, it's gone. So many people I met with power that become neurotic and psychopathic, and it's because there's so much in anxiety, they are going to lose it. Why? They don't really have it. They don't really have it. If it can go in an instant, it's not yours, never been yours. So you're not powerful, you're being run by that power. That's called Tsav, idol worshipping. That's a parasha. The parasha is about be careful not to fall into that lie of false power. Let's continue with this poem of Rabbi Shimon. אין רצונות ואין אורות ואין נרות באין סוף. In the endless, there are no wills and desires, there are no lights, there are no candles. So what is there? כל אלו האורות והנרות שבאצילות תלויים באין סוף. All of these that we just said, they are emanations from the endless. They can be already defined and explained somehow. שהתקיימו בהם, אבל אינם עומדים להשגה. מי שידוע ואינו ידוע, דהיינו שאפשר לדבר מבחינת ידיעה עין. It's like the moment it can be known and can be explained, that's not what we're looking for. If you got it, you probably didn't. Getting it means that it's quiet, it's fulfilling, it is satiating. And how do you know? You love others without trying to find, why do I love them? Just because. Just because I don't need any excuse for that. אין הוא אלא רצון עליון הסתום מכל סתום הנקראים. This is the divine will that is satum, which means cannot be understood, cannot be explained, and it's called the Ein, which is the Keter. אבל באינסוף לא שייכת כלל ידיעה, but in the endless, which is even within the Keter, there's not even a slight understanding. However, it runs our life. Why? You see people running around. What are you running for? I'm missing something. That's what everybody's missing. So, when you feel that you're never going to get it, and you fall into depression, and you need a pill against the depression, it means you gave up on finding it. We all were made to find it. וכשנקודה עליונה שהיא חוכמה ועולם הבא, שהוא בינה, מתעלים בהערתם. When the upper point, which is the level of חוכמה, and also the world to come, which is בינה, מתעלים בהערתם and they ascend in their light. How? When we push them from below, because of our devotion, they just come one into each other. אינם יודעים רק ריח. It's like a smell. Can you explain the smell? No, can't explain it. You can't explain that. It feels good. That's it. It doesn't feel. It's not my kind. It's not my cup of tea. You can explain the smell. כמי שמריח בריח ומתבשם. It's like somebody is smelling a very good perfume, and it's like relaxing. There's kind of like, it smells so good. Can you explain it to me? Are you kidding? ואיזה בחינת נחת הנקרא ניחוח שכתוב ולא אריח בערך ניחוחם, הרי שריח וניחוח הם שני דברים. Okay, now that we understood that, על כן, verse 15 in the Zohar, על כן ניתן צד האחר הזה ביד הכהן. The Kohen, Aaron, he got the power to overcome the other side. How? How do you overcome the other side? Every person is born with the other side. Every person is born with selfishness. Every person is born with flows endless. Each one of us. This is not perfect, this is not perfect. This is like, needs approval. And so on and so forth. How are we going? The power is in the hand of the Kohen. Who is the Kohen? That side in our personality that is giving unconditionally. The one who knows how to get closer with devotion to the upper world. How? Service. Simply serving people, the world, the universe. Why is it that you see so many people addicted to be at service? Again, it's a double-edged sword. You do it for the desire to get approval. This is idol worshipping. You're disconnected. You do it for desire to reach the endless. Reach that place that I don't know why and how, but I'm satiated. I am happy. And that's what counts. Okay? And that is that part of us that is giving and sharing. This is the Kohen. שכתוב צב את אהרון ובניו לאמור. There's a secret over here. כי העמדנו שאין צב אלא עבודה זרה. We know Tsav, doing something out of commandment. That's idol worshiper. You do this because somebody is expecting you to do that. Or you want to have their opinion improved about you. That's a dark side. וכאן, over here, with the korban, with the burning of the offering, ניתן לו לסוף את המחשבה הרעה היא ולהעבירה מן הקדושה ברצון הזה שעולה למעלה. When a person is bringing the offering, and as we said today, when we serve others, when we serve a higher purpose, a higher goal of improving the whole of humanity, community, whatever, it doesn't matter. When you do it out of service, out of Kohen, like a Kohen, out of unconditional love, just because of that devotion, that has the power to burn all negativities, to burn all dark thoughts. Why do people get depressed? They fall into poisonous thoughts and they can't overcome it. And what is the Zohar saying? You want to overcome the poisonous thoughts? Just be at service for others. Which others? Whatever you find. Doesn't matter. You don't do it for them, you do it for you. When you're sensitive and caring and sharing, that devotion has the ability to burn. This is the eternal fire. Esh tamid tukad al hamizbeach, ha'ola al mukdah. All of these expressions in this parasha is about that eternal fire. When a person is lighting that fire, the result is the burning of all what makes us miserable. Victim, whatever. Simply devotion to connect to the endless. And this is Tsav et Bnei Israel. Only then, ומשיב אף כאן פירושו שהסטרא אחרא, the dark side, each one of us has a dark side, עומד ברשותם, becomes under your control the moment you find a devotion. שכל זמן שישראל עושים רצונו של אדונם, all the time that Israel is doing their job, the people of Israel are doing their job, which means serving the Creator, that could be also everyone. אין הסטרא אחרא יכול לשלוט עליהם. The dark side cannot connect to you, cannot control you. How do you know this is a positive devotion? That, let's see it like this. We can find a lot of civilizations, cultures, religion, whatever, that have that excitement of serving God. However, that in the name of God includes also hating other people. What's the result? All of those cultures, it could be the hatred that was in the Nazi regime. It was the hatred of the communist regime against the anti-communism. It was, the zeal of all kinds of communities, that it was the zeal of hatred for the other. All of these self-destroyed themselves. They were destroyed from within. Why? Because that fire is coming from the dark side. That fire destroys you from within. The moment the fire that you have is the fire of doing good without hatred of the others, without separating from the others, doing good with excitement, and with that excitement comes that satiation, and that satiation brings moderation, tolerance, quietness, and understanding that not everybody is like you, and that's okay. This is the difference between winners and losers. This is the difference between victories and victorious people and the ones who lose. It's not because somebody else was stronger, that's why you lost. No, it doesn't work this way. You lose because you're disconnected, you're detached from the holy system. The holy system has to be based on consuming fire. What's consuming fire? The fire of holy excitement. How do you know it's holy? WH, whole. You can see the people are not like you as part of the whole too. And you can tolerate the idea they're not there yet where you are. The moment you are consumed with hatred for people who are not you, or not like you, who do not support you, that is the wrong fire. That's a fire that is idol worshipping. That's a fire that destroyed civilization after civilization, religion after religion, movement after movement, and individuals. That excitement and zeal, this is self-consuming. The other one, this is the excitement of getting closer to the Creator. How do you know? Being at service, tolerating others. Why? You're so satiated. And when you're satiated, the first symptom is no one bothers you. No one has the blame. The moment a society is trying to put the blame on someone, bad omen. Wrong. It's like you take, you're on the highway, you take a turn and you see that sign, wrong way. Wrong way. You continue like this, head-on collision. Get off the road, first of all. This is what we're talking about. The whole thing about spirituality is about zeal and excitement. That's about the burning fire of this parasha. Could be idol worshipping, could be the highest level. And therefore, same thing. This is a leap year, so we have Purim. What was Purim about? Everything was so dark. There was no logical solution. But a whole nation got together for 3 days with excitement and zeal to love each other. What was the result? The whole world turned around. The rules of the game have been changed. And suddenly, the bad guys were on the top of the hanging from the gallows, and everything changed overnight. How did that happen? And that's why in Purim, where we say here in the Zohar, because it's not by coincidence, when he say in the Zohar, verse 12, I'm reading again from the Aramaic. אמר לו האוקים עד אין סוף, דכל כישוריו ייחודה ושלימו להצנעה באות צניעו. When a person is coming from a place of service, being at service with excitement, unconditional, of self-service and self-love, and everybody can do that. You see the need, be there. דלה ידבק ולה את ידה, ולה את ידה. What's לה את ידה? There's no way to understand it. There's no way to perceive it with any logic. What is the definition, halachically, of Purim? You read the Megillah, you connect to that light of the Megillah, which is, as Rabbi Zakuri is saying, that's why you unfold the whole parchment to show it's a line that comes from the highest place. What place? Reisha delayit yada. Same exactly. That place that no one can understand. But that line comes down all the way over here to us. And that's
got half a picture, excuse me.
Okay. And that what makes it work for all of us. On Purim, when we come to that place of giving to each other and drinking the wine just to relax, and feeling that only once a year that can happen, of connecting to that light, of what does it feel being in total devotion. And when you touch that, you know exactly what you're missing. So you can fill up that battery for the whole year. Thank you so